Hello, today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how to do applique, fused applique using fusible web to fuse the applique, and we're going to do a blanket stitch by machine around the edge. So I'm just going to show you how I do that. We talked in a previous video, Quilting Tips and Techniques number 016, about how to prepare your applique using the fusible web, and today I'll just show you how to do the machine blanket stitch. So I'm going to start with a heart, and the reason being that we've got the curves here, and we're going to start in the valley up here and come around. So on my sewing machine I'm going to select the blanket stitch, so your machine does need to be able to do the stitch to be able to sew it, and also I'm going to put the correct foot on, like an embroidery foot. Your manual for your sewing machine will tell you what foot to use for embroidery and anything where the needle is going to be doing a swing stitch, because if you use your regular sewing foot there may not be enough space within the foot for the needle to swing, and then you'll just break needles because the needle will come down on the foot. So I'll start off showing you with the heart, and then I'll show you also the star, because the star has got several points on it, just to show you how to do those. So we're going to start in the valley. I've set my sewing machine to the blanket stitch, and I'm just going to use the default sizing that it suggests for that, but you can adjust the sizing if you're wanting it larger or smaller. So I'm going to start in the valley of the heart. I'm going to position it carefully so that I start with my first stitch right in that valley. And if you've got a needle down function on your sewing machine, that would be really helpful at this stage. So I'll just go gently. So the blanket stitch is a straight stitch along, and then it swings in onto the applique, so you want your straight stitch to sit just on the outside of the applique on your background fabric. And you can see every couple of stitches, because of the curve, I'm just stopping and raising my presser foot and turning the fabric just a little bit more, just to get a nice smooth curve on that. Now you may choose to match your thread to your fabric, so I have chosen a contrast here so that you can see what I'm doing, although I often do use a contrast thread anyway. You can see as it's straightening out that curve, I can go a little bit further without turning. It's much better to stop, and always stop with your needle on the outside, on your straight bit, which is right on the background next to your applique. If you stop when you're in the applique bit, you'll create a V, because you'll come out at a different position. Now just coming up to the point, just going slowly so that you can see where you're going. And I might stop right at the point and do one stitch in and back again, and then continue on. Now while I'm this far away, I'm just going to flip my fabric over, and I'm going to pull through, I hope I am, I'm going to pull through that thread, the top thread, to the back, and just tie it in a knot so that it's anchored nicely. And sometimes you need something just to help you grab that loop. If you can't grab the loop, it means you've stitched over it and it's already secured itself. But if there's a loop sitting there that you can pull it through, then it's a really good idea to do so and tie it to the back so that it all stays tidy and doesn't unravel. So I've just pulled that through, and I'm just going to now tie a knot. This is a little bit tedious and it slows things down, but it does give you a nicer finish in the end. Now I'm just going to snip those maybe ½ inch away from the knot. Don't snip it too close to the knot, because the knot will just unravel. So back on the applique, remember, stop and turn always with your needle on the right hand side of the applique. You might think you can just turn your fabric by sort of slightly wrenching it as you go, and yes you can, but you'll find that your stitches don't stay nice and straight coming into the applique. So I find it's much better to stop and turn every couple of stitches. And here I'm nearly back at the beginning, so I'm just going to go into that valley. And stop. And again I'm going to pull that thread through to the back. There's the loop there, just going to pull it through. And again just tie that in a knot before I snip the ends. And if you do these bits as you go, you don't have a whole lot of threads to pull through later that can get a little bit tangled and you don't know what's going on. So there's the heart all appliqued. Nice and tidy, your stitches are nice and straight. So now I'll just quickly show you how to do the star because of the points. It's much the same as the point on the heart, but it's all kind of straight lines rather than curves this time, so you don't have to stop every couple of stitches in the same way. Again, I'm going to start in one of the valleys. It doesn't really matter where you start and stop, but if you start somewhere that will be less noticeable, if there's a little overlap of stitches or a variation in the distance between them, it's quite helpful because it tends to disappear more. So I'm going to start in one of the valley parts. Again, position carefully over the valley, with the needle's going to go down into the background and then swing over onto the applique. And I can just whiz along up to the point. Slow down a little bit when I'm getting near the point. Stop at the point, do one stitch in straight onto the point and then turn it again to come back down the other side. And then when I get into the valley again, same thing, and my stitch in, turn my work and follow that straight line along to the next point. So here I am coming down the last straight of the star. I'm going to meet up with my stitching in that valley. And I've already tied off my threads from where I started. And so all I've got left to do now is pull it out, pull my thread through and tie it off. And then I've finished the little star applique. So that just shows you how to just take it slowly when you're appliquing, how to do points and how to do curves. So there's my star, and these will be all ready to go into a quilt or on a bag or whatever it is that you're wanting to do. Thank you.